Hi, my name is Kandy Hastings, and I'm a band director at the Rapid City Area Schools. Welcome to the world of making music. If you've chosen to play clarinet, you've made an excellent choice, and today I'm going to show you how to assemble the instrument. A key is to having the instrument case on a flat surface. A table, a bench, or even the floor will work. You want to have it flat so it can't slide off. Another thing to look for is the handles and the locks should be facing you. And most instruments cases will have the logo on top. That'll indicate that that is the top of the instrument and that's the end that you should open. So you snap the keys open, and inside the instrument you're going to find the different parts. You'll have the bell, the lower joint, which is the longest joint, the upper joint, which is shorter, the barrel, which is exactly what it sounds like, looks like a barrel. It's bigger on one end, smaller on the other. And last but not least, your mouthpiece and your ligature, which holds the reed on. There's also a mouthpiece cover which protects the reed and the mouthpiece when you're not playing. Other things you'll find in your case is cork grease, which looks very much like chapstick, but don't use it as chapstick. It won't hurt you, but it won't taste good either. A reed, which may be in a case that slides out, and a cleaning swab. We'll talk about using that later. It's crucial for the instruments, especially the new ones, that the cork is well lubricated, otherwise it'll dry up and break off. So you want to cork all the grease all the corks initially. Doesn't matter which end you start with, but just make sure you have a nice layer of cork grease around each joint. Be careful in the upper joint that you don't get it in the key. And I usually just lay it back in the case. The lower joint, there's only one cork on the bottom end. Nice layer of cork around that. And then the only other place that needs cork grease is your mouthpiece. Depending on how dry the corks are and whether your instrument is brand new or not, you may have to do that each time you assemble. You can tell if the instrument is struggling, you're struggling getting it together, you need to apply more cork grease. Your reed is probably the most important part of the instrument, but right now we're not going to deal with that. That it should be soaking in your mouth as we're putting it together, but we're not going to do that today. So to start with assembly, we'll start with the bottom, the barrel. Looks just like a bell. I call it a barrel. We're going to start with our lower joint. And as I said, it's longer, has the keys in the front and your thumb rest in the back. You're just going to lightly apply pressure and twist that on. And if it goes on too difficult, you may have to add more cork grease and maybe push more from the bottom. Do not stand the clarinet up, it could fall over. Lay it on the table or back in your case. Take out the upper joint. You have two tinions, and the one you're going to apply to the middle, or the middle joint, these keys overlap, and you have to be very careful that these keys, overlapping keys, do not bend these bottom keys. So holding your instrument with your fingers on here and here, you're going to lightly twist those together, and as you're pushing down on top, it raises this upper key and it just slides over the bottom. And you want to line that up. Make sure the keys are all lined up. As I said, the middle point joint is the hardest point to get together. Be very careful with the overlapping keys that they don't bend or connect. Next we'll add our barrel. As I mentioned, we have a smaller end and a larger end. The larger end will go on the top. If there's a logo, you usually want to face that towards the front. Just looks better. And last is your mouthpiece. Take your mouthpiece cap off and your ligature, and sometimes the screws might be tight, so you need to loosen the screws. Take your mouthpiece and you have an open flat surface on one side and then a rounded tip on the other side where your mouth goes inside your mouth. You just place that on top with the opening facing where the thumb holes are on the back. Slide that together. Make sure it's straight. And last but not least is our reed, which up to this point we've been soaking. You have a very, very thin edge. Be very careful of that. It'll break very easily. The reed is crucial in getting a good clarinet sound. And when you line up the reed, you want it just even with the back and the top so it doesn't show too much that way, or that you can see inside the front here. So you want to get just even with the top. And I'm holding it in my left hand with my left thumb holding the reed down, and carefully slide the ligature over the top down about halfway so it's in the middle, and then you tighten the bottom screw first, then tighten the top screw.